is the Opie and Anthony Podcast. Find the show on Twitter @Opie Radio, @Anthony Cumia, and @Jim Norton. And on SiriusXM every weekday.
But enough of this palaver. Let's get the show on the road.
The legendary Paul Williams.
He's a window licker. What was he doing? He was licking the window?
Yeah.
Let's bring him in.
Why was he doing that?
He's gotten so
crazy.
tall.
He's a delightful man.
Yes, he is. He's our friend.
And he's with his co-writer,
He's our
Tracy Jackson.
friend.
Yeah, we do love Paul Williams.
Hey, Tracy. Nice to meet you. Tracy
guys.
Jackson, I believe,
Hi, guys.
right?
We're on the air, just so you know.
Paul Williams, right on. Right on. Paul, it's been a while.
Been too long, laddie. I just tweeted, I'm running late. Opie gonna kick my butt.
Nah.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, guys.
What's up, Tracy?
Paul, good to see you.
What's up, Paul? Where have you been? You're too busy winning awards to come
Writing
by and
this
say
highly
hi?
evolved Paulie Lama spiritual book called Gratitude and Trust with my friend and partner, writing partner, Tracy Jackson. The lovely, sitting next to me even as we speak.
Yes, she is. What is that?
Wait,
Are we on
is
the
that
air?
you? Hold on.
Was I wasting this beautiful commentary? What are we?
I don't know.
What was that?
I heard
Paul?
talking.
There was something coming from your phone.
Yeah.
That probably is. Did you not shut your phone off?
Was it
Yeah.
gratitude or trust that you're swimming at?
You
Yeah.
just heard the and.
This seems like a really angry book, Paul.
Yeah. We're going to write a book called The Imperfect Partnership. The perfect marriage. Now you're going to have the imperfect partnership.
Right. But you're still speaking.
Well, you guys, are you guys a married couple or no?
No.
Oh,
no,
just friends,
no,
okay.
No. But she slaps me around as if we were.
Oh, nice. You need that.
More.
The relationship has evolved to the point where she
Like I'm a
treats me
football
with the
player.
same disrespect.
Like you're a football player.
I said it's like I'm a football player. I slap you around so much.
Yeah, exactly.
I like a good domestic violence joke up front. I respect that.
Is it true
I
that
respect
Paul
that.
Williams has tiny hash marks on his bottom based on his writing partner's spreadsheet?
That broke the ice a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
You love to tell that story. I'm going to give it to you.
Okay, we met in Robert Mitchum's bedroom in 1982. She was like 12, and I was getting loaded with Mitchum.
Yeah, and I was in there with Bob. No, I wasn't. That's a joke.
She was, we were getting high, and she came in, and she was so kind, and she said, "I love your music," and I was loaded, and I was, just rude and
And I
arrogant.
was a sweet
and-
little girl, too.
Yeah, and I said something like, well, and she said, "I love your music," and I said, "Well, if it helps you get laid," or something just really, really rude.
She was 12?
No, I was
Well,
20, but it
she
was
in
okay.
her
I'd gotten
20s.
laid, but it was still not nice.
Yeah, she was in her 20s. So she was a Paul Williams fan when she walked in the room. She walked out of the room a Neil Diamond fan.
Song sung blue. I still love the guy.
But
What can I
why
say?
were you in Robert Mitchum's house?
Yeah.
I get the story up, but why were you there?
Well, we both knew him. We both lived in Santa Barbara.
Right.
And he was a friend of my family's, and I'd known him for years, and he and Paul were friends. And
We had
you
a
know,
different
Santa
kind of
Barbara's a
friendship
small,
than-
yeah, well, they had
yeah.
a different kind of friendship. But Santa Barbara's a very small place,
Right.
and it was a New Year's Day party. And I was really excited because Paul Williams had moved to Santa Barbara, and I'd finally gotten to meet him after all these years of being a fan. And he was just, he was wearing like an Andy Gibb jacket, if I can date it a little bit. So yeah, that was a very eventful day.
Were you just friends with Robert Mitchum, or were you,
No, I was legitimately
just
friends.
friends.
With, legitimately friends with Robert Mitchum.
Yeah,
for my whole life. Yeah.
And I was rude, and the fact is that then we met again, like at Feinstein's. I was performing at Feinstein's. By then I was, I think, 11 years sober, 12 years sober, and she got to see the two different Paul Williamses. The one that looks like when he's not full of cocaine and vodka, and the who was a little nicer than the older guy was, and all. And happily, Tracy had in the meantime become this very successful screenwriter. And somebody who had been exposed to a lot of people in recovery and had a real affection for what that process does, which I was a fair example of. I'd been given my life. Opie, I've talked about this a bunch.
Yeah.
That I was, I went from being face down on my own spittle to the life I have today, which is pretty impressive. And Tracy
If
said,
you say so yourself.
Yeah, if I say so.
He should say
Yes.
it. It's an amazing story. I mean, everyone had you done.
Yeah, I was going.
You were
well,
done,
yeah,
man.
Well, the documentary about me is called "Still Alive."
Right.
That says a
Right.
lot right there.
I tried to actually do a TV show with him when I got to Hollywood and I was writing pilots. And I hadn't forgotten him since Mitchum's bedroom. And I said, my first day, I said, they said, "What do you want to do?" And I went, "I'd love to do a TV show with Paul Williams." And they said, "If you can load up a truck with cocaine onto the lot, you might have a shot.
Oh, the reputation was bad.
Bad.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, and I'd earned it too. I was worthy of every evil word said about me.
How many years were you partying like that?
I drank from the time I was about this high. I was like maybe 13, and then I probably, I had a brief little chemistry experiment with cocaine that lasted maybe 25 years. I did cocaine every day till I was 49 when I got sober. I joked that I had the best didn't have the best childhood, but I had the longest. I was
Right.
49.
25 years.
Yeah, I'll be 74 tomorrow.
No.
I'll be. You know what?
Let's go get a
Wow.
cake, Roland.
Yeah, you have called me more than once on my birthday.
Well, I sure have.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
So you've been sober 25 years.
24 years. Yeah.
24 years. Now-
25 in March.
Do you have had any physical issues from physical problems because of the cocaine?
No, I can
Nothing.
breathe through my
You're
nose.
lucky.
Exactly. And I'd like to think I'm a little more attractive because I was pickled until I was 49.
It's funny. I can't marry that guy that I like. I was watching Smokey and the Bandit the other day.
Yeah.
And I just
My
can't.
art films.
That's a great. It's one of the best comedies ever done, though, and you're great in it.
It is great.
And I can't marry the image of you now
Yeah.
to that person. I cannot realize that that's the same person. You look physically very different, and just the attitude, even the voice. It's just everything is different.
People tell me that when they look at me now, Gary Cooper comes to mind.
Oh,
or
I think they're going to say
Gregory
Busey.
Peck. Truman Capote, right? Yeah.
And the cocaine did wonders for your hair. You got a full head of hair
I
still,
got a full
Paul.
head of hair and I don't dye it, but it's the beard.
don't
is
dye
white
your
and all,
hair?
but,
When you said dye your hair, that was like a real.
But just Tracy and I, as we became friends, she said, I heard something from her that so many people have talked about to me. They wish they had some sort of a process like what we have in recovery. And that was the beginnings of the book. And because she's done this before, she kind of took me by the hand and walked me through the process. I write 3 hours, she writes 7 to 9. And so, it was a perfect partnership for a lazy old guy.
Right.
Were you good collaborating with having? I don't like having my stuff edited. I get really weird if someone, like, if I write something or put an idea down, they're like, I don't know if that's the right thing. Did you get too territorial about stuff if she wanted to change things?
No, because she made it better.
Okay.
It was, when it's like, let's make it better, but when we get out in public, I'll tell everybody it was my work.
Right.
Tracy, did you know anything about recovery? Were you?
I've never been in it. No,
Right.
and I didn't know. I'm learning a lot. I've always been really envious of people in recovery. I sort of have recovery envy, you can imagine. But I was the girl who believed reefer madness. I was literally that person.
Oh,
I
yeah.
walked out of that film
Terrified.
and went, gateway drug, I'm not touching anything. And I literally never did. So we really are the yin and yang of that experience. Because I was in Hollywood, I went to parties, there'd be bowls of cocaine the size of this room, and I just walked out.
Right.
So, but I was really envious of what people had who were in recovery because they just seemed nicer after they'd been these real jerks. Then all of a sudden they were these really enlightened souls. So something had to happen on that journey that I kind of thought everybody should have. Like, what
Right.
if we all just went to recovery? Wouldn't
Right.
that be cool?
And as she pointed out, we all have something to recover from.
Every one of us does. So I just really, I'd had all these friends. They were terrible, then they were terrific. Most people sort of have moments of being terrible. Let's all be terrific. And that was my idea, that this just really, there's nobody who can't benefit from those really simple things.
And
That people-
it really makes sense as not like solving a problem, just as far as just like living your life. The stuff that's in the book.
I think if you have a problem, the book applies.
Right.
But they're just little things on a daily basis that the book applies.
Right.
You can be an addict. Paulie and I call it two things. It's either life limiting or it's life threatening. So obviously what Paul went through was seriously life threatening because God knows we've seen too many people who have vanished because
Right.
of this, and that's a tragedy.
Yeah.
But then there are people who are just always in their own way, right? They're just the people who never get the job they want, the person they want, the life they want. They're the victims. They're
Right.
you name it. They can benefit from this.
Because their personalities, like right here, I just opened a book randomly. It says something needs to change, and it's probably me. No, I disagree with that, of course. Because
Well, yeah. Don't you dare, Jimmy. Don't you dare.
We put the probably in the, one of the first things you have to do is identify.
There's a footnote that you're excluded from that.
Yeah, I think that that probably is really important for somebody to kind of try it on. You can look at your life. What isn't working? Are you addicted to your iPhone? Are you a gossip, a rumor monger? Are you a victim all the time? She wrote an amazing chapter called "Reaching for a Bottle of Disappointment." There's all these people, all these things in our lives, that are life limiting. And the fact is, you may be in a relationship with somebody you hate, and you're related to them and stuck with them. They may never change, but the fact is the way you relate to them can change. Something needs to change, and it's probably me, is the gateway affirmation to changing your life, to owning that, that you're the one that can fix the problem.
I'm looking here at a shopping list of bad behavior, and like a lot of times these books, they're like, all right, but this is actually the first thing you say. These examples of, like, I guess, of, like, you know, people who are behaving kind of shitty. The rageaholic, the workaholic, emotional anorexia. The Bette Midler, I guess that means that somebody who's always getting involved in everybody else's.
Exactly. Solving your problems.
The hibernator, the victim. Like this, it really covers every person I've ever interacted with.
That's the thing. You see, it really does. And people walk around not knowing it. And then they just go, oh, my life sucks, my life sucks, my life sucks, and you're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem. When you go, maybe you're the problem. You know, not you. Again, you're exempted.
No. I always say when I point one finger, 3 are pointing at somebody else.
The book's called Gratitude and Trust, 6 affirmations that will change your life.
You know, it started out with me saying that basically my choo-choo runs on twin rails of gratitude and trust. I'm grateful for everything it ever happened. I mean, everything it ever happened to me, including the mess-ups, the screw-ups, the stumbles, you know. Because no in my life has been a gift. If I don't get, you know, I wanted to be an actor. I felt like Montgomery Clift, but I looked like Haley Mills, so it was really hard for me to get a job as an actor, you know. So I didn't get what I wanted, but what I got was I took the way that felt, picked up a guitar and started doodling, and out of that I got a life, you know. So in my life, gratitude is huge, and trust is the antidote to fear, you know. I mean, you just had a major life-changing event in your life right now and everything, but at a certain point you got to trust that there's everything in what's going on around you and in the center of Opie's chest to walk through this thing and have things get better. Okay, God, I knew that was going to happen. What's wrong with you, Paul? He's not used to it out. He's not used to people being nice to him.
And he shouldn't be.
And he shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a little strange without Anthony. I guess you're,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, of course, you know,
referring to that. There's a little guilt associated with it because, you know, we're doing our thing here, he's doing his thing there, and I don't know.
We miss him.
We absolutely miss him.
And by the way, this is not a replacement.
No, I don't know. I'm just in the seat.
yeah, but you know, it's good because otherwise it would be empty.
It's weird sitting over here, though.
Spout pure wisdom.
Are you going to write a book on your life?
You know, I don't think so. I don't.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
never
Paul.
say never, but you know,
gotta have some great stories.
If I could remember
Paul.
big hunks of it, you know, there's
That documentary was so good.
Thank you.
And
The
in a
amount of
book-
detail you could do, right?
Yeah, in a book you could really get into some stories.
There's a lot of Mayberville in my, you know, the thing is that, you know, because Tracy has these stories about what I was like then and all, and, you know, there are other people with other stories. I suppose I could round them up and say, what was I really like? But I'm not sure my heart could take it.
Oh, okay. How many years do you think you don't remember?
Well, I think that, you know, it's a progressive disease. I don't know when I crossed the line from use to abuse to full tilt addiction, but I would say that the 70s were amazingly productive, you know, despite the growing usage of alcohol and other drugs. I think by the 80s, I mean, you know you're an alcoholic when you misplace a decade.
Yeah.
And I was gone for I didn't know that Reagan was president. You got to be kidding me. It's like, I went from 48 shots on the Tonight Show, sitting on that couch 48 times, to hiding in my bedroom, you know, in the 80s. Because I couldn't find, you know, one of the elements of alcoholism is isolation.
Did you get arrested?
You hide. Never got arrested. You know, I wish I had been. I probably would have gotten sober earlier.
And you just stayed home for 10 years?
Well, every now and then I go out and have a little you
fun,
know,
whatever.
get a little something to take home with
but
me, or a little.
you drive a Ferrari with a pistol and a bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah, that's something you should do sober, even if you're not drinking it.
You're talking to half of Opie's following right now. Wait a minute.
No, Ferrari, not fucking Buick.
Okay, a pickup. But come on.
You drank that much, you needed the vodka in the car.
You know what, Opie? I had a house up in Montecito, where we met. I also had a house down, and I was a weekend father after I left my wife and kids. I'd go pick my kids up, and I couldn't make it the 90 miles from Montecito, from Santa Barbara to the house in L.A. without a drink and a toot. And I would, you know, I mean, I did exactly what my dad did. My dad drank drunk as a skunk in the car with me standing in the seat behind him. I did the same thing with my kids. You know, I would actually make my kids look away so I could sneak a toot. I couldn't go that long without a toot. I'd say something like, "Is that cow on fire?" And they would look over and say, "Cow on fire." And they'd look away, and I'd sneak a drink or a toot. You know.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
they had to have known.
Well, it's interesting because they were so small. I mean, I had my last drink in '89. My sober date's March 15th, 1990. But my son was 8 when I got sober, and my daughter was like 6.
Oh, they were little.
So I sat down with them and I said, you know what? Let me explain what happened. If you'd been better kids, I wouldn't have had.
It's all your fault. Daddy hurt himself because of you.
Yeah, it's all your fault. And they were. I mean, at 6, my daughter, who's now a social worker, it looked at me and she went, "God, Dad, you are so sick." I went, "Exactly. I have a disease. I have a disease of." So my children have turned into amazing adults. They did a great job of raising me.
They did. Now I had to finish.
And she had to finish. Yeah.
Why the pistol, by the way? Were you licensed?
I had a CCW to carry.
He was paranoid.
Yeah,
A little paranoia
Were you?
kicked in.
Well, it's
Tends to happen with cocaine.
Beyond paranoia, it's also, but Tracy, it has to be a classic example of grandiosity. I mean, what did I think it was, Sinatra? Nobody was trying to kidnap me. They were trying to get away from me.
I don't know, it's just the idea of you in a Ferrari and a bottle of vodka and armed. There's something about that I have a really hard time with.
Now, wait a minute. Do you find it a little attractive, though? I mean,
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool, frankly.
I didn't date
You can
guys.
see the grins just.
I did not date guys who packed. No.
But that's the
Oh, we would
problem.
have been a perfect couple. Oh, you mean a gun?
That is such a problem. Like all of the crazy stories, and I know that in some ways it was a dark part of your life. But when you hear like getting high with Robert Mitchum or driving a Ferrari with vodka and a gun, it all sounds like the coolest stuff you could possibly do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is until you talk to the people that lived
Yeah,
with
it's
me.
the problem.
Right.
It sounds awesome, but
Yeah, but the reality.
Yeah, the reality is you have 2 kids that didn't have a dad that was there for them.
the reality is you could have crossed that line driving to Vegas and smashed into a car full of kids and people and killed them,
Wow,
Yeah.
Tracy.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The guy
Which
who
a
killed
lot of
Sam
people
Kinison.
do,
The
you
guy
know,
who killed Sam
and
Kinison
then-
was a
and he
young drunk
sober.
driver.
And he was sober
Sam
then.
was sober, yeah.
He was sober then.
Yeah.
That's tragedy.
17-year-old drunk driver, I think. And back then it was a little different. Even around 1991, 92, the kid, I don't even know if he went to jail for that. He got arrested, and I think it was more like, it wasn't an automatic prison sentence, even in the early 90s.
At the top of my gratitude list is that I didn't kill somebody or myself or really
Yeah.
injure somebody
Sure.
to that extent. It was just, so there's always something to be grateful for. This process has for the last 2 years been the greatest addition to my life, because while we're writing this book, we're also working these affirmations, and the third one is I will learn from my mistakes and not defend them. There's a huge lesson in me screwing up even today, and once in a while. For example, I thought we were supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. We're supposed to be here at 8:45. I own
I
that.
did tell you that, though.
And she did tell me. So I would like to publicly apologize to the world listening today for showing up late for you guys. But
Oh, my God.
it's so cool to be here.
What do you mean not defend it?
Well, because the old Paul would have said, it wasn't my fault. I had a
Well,
black
my,
belt.
my alarm didn't go off.
Yeah.
You were supposed to call me, Tracy. Why didn't you call me? I mean, it's the
Let
stuff
it
we all
go.
do, right?
Right,
It's
right.
like no one says, "Hey, I just screwed up. I wasn't looking at my watch. I was
Right.
tweeting. I was in the shower. I just forgot. I'm really sorry."
Yeah.
Then you go,
Right.
"Okay, we're all human. We all do that." But it's when you blame other people for your
Yeah.
mistakes, which
Yeah.
a lot of people do. I mean,
Right.
none of us could walk away and say none of us have ever.
He just got
blamed
the time screwed up. Let it go.
Yeah.
No, but you
So it's a little late.
The point is, she's not
just
talking
an
about her.
example. Just an example.
Tracy has
Talking about
OCD.
her reaction.
Oh, like you don't know. OCD
Tracy
is
has
me.
OCD, man. He said 9 o'clock. It's 9:01.
Now, how bad is my OCD?
Oh my God! If it wasn't for Tracy, this book would be done in about 2 years. In about 2 years, this book would be done. And while I was drinking and using, I became a chronic and habitual liar. I didn't even know I was lying half the time because I was always defending. I was constantly breaking appointments. I had emergency dental work. That was bull. I would never. I don't think I had emergency
That's
dental
defending
work
a mistake.
ever. What's that?
Defending a mistake.
That's
right
defending
there.
a mistake.
That's defending
right
a
there.
mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Were
No, go
were you
ahead.
abusive at all when you drank, or were you just kind of distant? Even verbally abusive?
No, not really. I think I just hid, I was always a little lover.
a little
What could I
rude.
tell you? I was
No,
a
you were
little
a little
lover.
rude.
I was in the world. My whole world was about ouch, mommy, pick me up and love me. I mean, I just and when a little bit of confidence from the cocaine, and I knew that your wife wanted me. I just knew you, no matter who you were.
Did you get a lot of action because you had the cocaine around?
I don't wish I could. That's the part I wish I could
You didn't
remember.
get the action?
That's the part I wish I could remember.
See, if you'd only had an iPhone back then,
Could have
there'd be a
taken
lot of
pictures.
selfies today.
Oh yeah.
It had all that whore bait and you didn't...
Did you just say Horby?
Sorry, Tracy. Oh my God.
I
Tracy
say
enough to
worse
say
stuff
that.
than that.
All
I
right.
stay really bad
Tracy,
stuff.
why didn't you get involved with the drugs and alcohol being in Hollywood all those years and around it constantly?
Honest to God, I was just afraid. You know what? It's the OCD. It's the OCD. The thought of losing control for me is much more frightening than having a good time. I really was. I think, and I think the OCD was back then. I mean, as a child, probably 12, 13, 14, when my friends started using stuff. The idea that if I drink, I have to drive, I'll have half a glass of wine. I will never be over that limit. I'm terrified of authority, of losing control. My lists have lists. It's just, I couldn't do it, I just couldn't do it.
She turned down drugs from some really famous people. The Gonzo journalist.
Hunter Thompson
Yeah,
tried
Hunter
to get me
Thompson.
high, couldn't
You
figure
gotta
out.
get higher, Hunter Thompson.
And he said
You
that.
have
He
to.
couldn't believe I wouldn't do it. And I just went,
I don't think you have a choice,
I
right?
said, do you have some Chardonnay? I was just like, no, I don't want. And he opened this drawer and he said, I've got hash, I've got Coke, I've got Ludes. I mean, it was just like, this big. It was like farm. And I'm just going, can't do it.
How did you wind up there with him?
With
Where
Hunter
were
Thompson,
you? Yeah.
I was, and my husband's a rare book and manuscript dealer, and he sells a lot of archives. So we had to go out to Aspen because he was selling his archives. Yeah. It's actually great because it was Academy Awards, and that's when I was writing a lot of screenplays. And I said to myself, I don't care about Hunter Thompson. I just want to watch the Academy Awards. And we get there, and he just tried to get me high, and I didn't want to do this. But he had his TV set up. You guys will love this. He had his TV set up, so every time he changed the channel, it would go to whatever you were watching to porn. And then back to whatever you're watching to porn. So I'm sitting there, I'm getting like this contact high because there's so much hash in the room, I can't even believe it. And I'm like, all of a sudden it's like, best supporting actor, but then it goes to like two girls having sex in a bathtub, and you miss the best supporting actor. The whole night went on like that, and then it would go to like films that were done about him. So there'd be Hunter and Johnny Depp driving down Sunset Boulevard, a guy and a goat in a field, and then they'd go back to Susan Sarandon giving some political speech. I missed the entire Academy Awards, had a contact high, and I was just miserable. Most people would have loved it. I didn't.
How was the TV set up that way? He was just
I don't
changing
know.
channel. He must have just been fucking around with the channels.
No, he rigged his channel thing, so it would just always, there were these three sections it would go to. It was on a loop. Films that Hunter was in.
Oh, my God.
Porn, and whatever you were watching. So maybe you're watching CNN. Then it's like, two guys going down each other. I mean, that was what it was really. It was quite of a setup. But it made you a little crazy, and he was crazy to begin with, so
Yeah.
he probably couldn't tell the difference.
He wasn't interested in recovery at all.
No.
Add to gratitude list. Be grateful that you never met that man because you'd be dead by
That's
now.
right. You would have been
You're lying there dead with an erection.
you would have had such a good time.
Yeah.
My gratitude list is now I have a new way to set my TV up.
Sounds like a great thing to do.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Great Academy Award party coming up.
That's right.
Yeah, how do you put on a timer like that? Unless he had another remote that would override the one you had and was just messing with you.
He was in charge. He had a setup in his kitchen that did not look unlike this, where he was behind his little counter, and it was all, there was a computer and there was a phone and he was the master of that universe. He was doing something, but I wasn't getting to watch the Academy Awards.
It says a lot about this show that the real focus of the conversation is turned on how do you set up your TV so you can
porn on
watch
it all
porn
the
every
time.
other channel.
Right?
Okay, we get it.
That's right.
Amazing.
Was he nice, though? Was he a pleasant guy?
By that time, he was pleasant enough. By that time, he was really fried. I mean, he died. He killed himself like maybe 7 or 8 months later.
Oh.
I mean, he was really at the end, and it took its toll. I mean, you can't do. There was a list on something recently. I don't know, it was BuzzFeed or what it was, but something about the amount of drugs that Hunter Thompson did a day. And it was, I mean, in the amount of time I was there, he must have drank this much scotch.
Jeez.
He must have done at least 5 joints. He smoked hash. He took pills. I mean, I was there 3 hours. I would have been in the hospital.
Wow.
That was it. It would have been. But he did this day in, day out. He woke up at 3 PM. He stayed up until 5 or 6 in the morning. And I remember because his wife said, who was really young, much younger than he was, and she said, okay, after the Academy Awards that we were not watching are over, Hunter's going to, we'll all get high and Hunter will read from Fear and Loathing. Now, most people would be like, I'm so in. I was like, if you don't get me back to the hotel in 5 minutes.
What?
I know, I walked away. I'm like really not a lot of fun.
Was he able to
really
read
not
it?
a lot
Was he
of
able to
fun.
read it at all?
I left. I don't know. He probably could.
You can't leave?
I did.
She's driving me nuts.
I know.
I know. I'm sorry.
She's a good girl. She's
You
a
know
good
what?
girl.
Good for
But I'm
her.
actually fun. I can be fun. Can I be fun?
She can be a lot of fun.
I can be a lot of fun.
When
I
you have to
just-
say that,
Who wants to hear some pompous ass read his own material? That sounds awful. Good
I
for
get
you.
high. Yeah.
Good for you. Reading his own greatness. Boo.
For 5 hours.
Exactly. You're right.
Well, Tracy,
you.
did you find? I mean, you were pretty straight, but when you talk about this book and not being in recovery, did you discover stuff about yourself that needed to be corrected that wasn't
yeah.
addiction?
Oh, but
Or did you?
Yeah, I mean, I may not take drugs, and I may not drink, and I may not sort of, watch porn all night. Well, I have, maybe. I don't remember. But I mean, I'm OCD, I'm controlling, I can be obnoxious.
you're a goody two-shoes.
I'm a goody two-shoes. I don't want to be, I'm not a goody two-shoes.
How does your OCD come out? Is it numbers? Are you a counter? Or
I'm an everythinger. Everything is listed.
Are you a
Everything is
scrubber?
organized. Oh, when I get nervous, I clean. Oh yeah, I do I mean, it's a way of keeping the chaos away from me. And I think that a lot of what's in our book goes back to things that happen in your childhood. And people deal with anxiety in different ways. Some people medicate it. For me, it was always organizing. If everything in my world was completely together, then that meant everything in the outside world might be completely together. And then everything inside of me might turn around and be together.
was your dad a
It
drunk
sounds
or
like
something?
it works.
My dad left when I was really young, and he was psychologically abusive. So, I have a lot
tell
of
the
stuff
story of the
supermarket. Yeah, my dad, he didn't physically abuse me, but he was, I'd see him in the market in Santa Barbara, and he'd roll his cart by me. He wouldn't talk to me for years on end for no reason. So I could never quite figure out what was up, and I just assumed everything was my fault, which is what happens to a lot of kids who come from families where the truth isn't spoken and you never know. So you think everything's your fault. That's the go-to place for kids. It's my fault. Mommy and daddy got divorced. It's my fault. Daddy drinks. It's my fault. Whatever it is. Daddy's not talking to me. It's my fault. So that sets up a lifelong pattern of trying to fix other people, which can become an addiction.
Did you figure out why he did that?
Yeah, he's got so many issues. I just, the show's not long enough. But it's him. And it was his inability to father me. But that led to me picking the wrong guy for 20 years over and over. And that's a big problem for people. You've got the same relationship in a different body over and over and over again. Yeah. And
Right.
something needs to change. It's probably you. Why is, this guy or this girl just like the last 10?
Right.
And I think that's something a lot of people do.
of course they do.
They just find that same fault. I mean, I could walk into a party, 10 great guys. I go right to the one that's going to hurt me. It was like radar.
Right.
Beep, 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 jerk.
Well, that
Even if
becomes,
she has to go into Robert Mitchum's bedroom to do it.
Robert, yes, sure.
but that becomes the addiction, right?
Absolutely. The addiction becomes saving other people. It becomes, if you can fix this person, that means you're okay. And there was nothing wrong with you before. I mean, it's a weird thing, little trigger in your brain. And then until you sort of start doing steps and looking into it, your behavior, you don't know why you're doing it. It just becomes repetitious.
Right.
And you wake up and you're 40 years old and you go, why does my life look just like it did when I was 17? Right. A lot of people do that.
It sounds like the OCD thing is a good way to cope, though. It sounds like that was a good structure to
Well,
It sounds positive, actually.
I think if you have to have a problem, that's
Yeah.
not. I mean, I had other stuff too, but I think if you have to have a problem,
Oh, what's
being
the
OCD.
other stuff?
Well, what do I
What
do?
is the other stuff?
Well,
What's
the
I told
other
you I
stuff?
picked the
Do
wrong man.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong man. I'm a spendaholic. I'm Tracy, and I'm a spendaholic. Okay. What else do I do, Paulie? That's like I have temper. I mean, I didn't have a physical temper like I hit people, but I can be really a bitch. I can just take people down so fast.
Yeah, I feel
like
that.
before you.
I feel that, Paul.
I
feel bad for you.
You're already being
I know.
careful, aren't you?
I'm being really honest. This book
That's
teaches me to be
smart.
honest. I know, but I could. I would hurt you before you could hurt me. That's another thing a lot of people do.
But
People are very defensive. You've been hurt a lot in your life. A lot of people. It doesn't mean you hit people. So I'm not remotely physical, but I could just, verbally, I'll distance myself from you. I just walk away. A lot of people do that.
But if you follow the path, it's interesting because what you're essentially doing is rewriting and putting a new ending on an old story. The story with Dad. You're going to write a new ending to that with a new person. All that was my second marriage. Absolutely right. They were right there and all. But you start rewriting those elements in your life, and what did you become? A writer.
What did I become? Oh, I already guessed right.
Writer. So there has, I think there's a
OCD.
connection there. I'm having a therapeutic moment.
What
bitch.
what
I
is
don't
some
know.
of the stuff you wrote that we would know?
I wrote the last film I wrote. It was called Confessions of a Shopaholic. I wrote film called The Guru, which you would actually really like. I don't know if you ever saw that film. I'll send you guys. You would like it.
a
You would
lot.
like it. It's really
Who's in
filthy.
it?
Yeah.
It's Marissa Tomei. It was a film about an Indian guy who comes to this country and he becomes the guru of sex. Heather Thomas. Heather Thomas.
Heather Thomas.
Who was
wow.
No, Heather.
remember.
Graham.
Heather
Sorry,
Graham.
Heather. You're so sweet. I didn't mean that. And I made like 4 films, and I rewrote every romantic comedy probably. Many people have seen. And then what else have I done?
She also made an amazing film called Lucky Ducks, where she had a 14-year-old daughter who just didn't appreciate what the hell was going on in this world, all the great things she had. So she took her to a school that she helps finance in India and said, "You're going to work this summer for a couple of weeks. You're going to work in this school in India." So
Yeah, I plunked her in a slum. I took a 14-year-old Upper East Side kid and I plunked her in a slum. So that got a lot of attention.
Did it work? Did it help?
yeah, she's fabulous.
She's fabulous
Yes.
now, but she's 24. I mean, yeah, it didn't work. That was the film. It didn't quite work, but
Right.
it made for a good film.
Right.
But in that film, what I learned was I was the one who had to change. And it's interesting because it comes back to this book.
What
I
book?
learned
There's
this
a book?
the
What
book
book?
you guys have.
Oh, the book.
Oh, the book called
Gratitude and
Gratitude.
Trust.
It's called
Six Affirmations.
Gratitude and trust. How to
forgot.
fix all of the broken people around you.
That's right.
No, I'm kidding. It's not called that. 6 affirmations that will change your life.
But I went to India to fix my kid. And I learned in 3 years of shooting this film, the 3 weeks turned into 3 years, that it was me who needed fixing.
Right.
And that, when you think about it, that comes back to this. That's kind of awesome, huh?
What a nice turn! What a nice end to the story.
I know,
Yeah,
you see?
yeah, you see.
See, I got all gratitude and trust.
Full circle.
Exactly.
It's always nice when things come around.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul, do you feel like you just got lucky that there wasn't like permanent damage? Like
Oh,
you
my
see
God.
some guys, like even if they recover, and you could just tell that they're
They're
a little
gone.
burnt or off. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just gone.
You realize you're talking to somebody who left his glasses in a cab yesterday. You know that, don't you? I mean,
We
We
That's
all
okay.
do
Thank
that.
you.
We
Yeah,
all
that's-
do
we
that.
all do that and all.
God.
But I wonder how many people left their glasses in. If I should just say, incidentally, if you're a cab driver and you found some glasses, send them to ASCAP on my day job. So, you know what? Yeah, it's high on my gratitude list that I can still make a sentence. You know, because I have totally abused. I hid out. I abused. I was a mess. So the life I have today is beyond anything I could have imagined. First of all, it's I weigh 130 instead of 187, which was at my peak.
Oh, I
You were
forgot.
187?
Yeah, he was
Oh,
pudgy.
Yeah, I was.
Look
I
at
was
You were a
those
bit
old
pudgy back in
pictures.
the
and I
day.
thought I was cute. You know, it's like,
You were
yeah.
kind
were
of cute.
cute.
You were cute. You can't say he
You were
wasn't.
cute. I had a crush on you.
tussable.
Yeah.
But I was Porky. I was Porky McWilliams and all. But you know, I
But you were
run.
accessible. Porky was accessible.
Tracy,
see?
would you have, back in the day?
Back
Paul
in the day,
Williams?
Paul Williams? Yeah, sure.
Those cool glasses.
Yeah,
and
I
then-
love those
My
glasses.
life is good. My life is
Remember that haircut, the long and the bangs?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it. Was
after-
awesome.
That Muppets appearance. One of my favorite things ever is that Muppets appearance when you sang on with the Muppets. I love that.
Oh, I love it too. I mean, everything I did with the Muppets is high on my list. I love to wake up in the morning, know you're going to go to work with Kermit. You're doing something right.
Yeah.
in your
Were you
life.
sober at that moment?
You know what? I was. No, I wasn't sober, but I wasn't over the edge.
Was
with,
Kermit
with, you know,
sober?
Kermit
was
was
sober?
was drinking terribly at the time. You know, and he and Piggy were screwing around like crazy. You know, but. No, you know what? It really got bad in the 80s and all. But it's interesting because I walked away from my music. I walked away from all of it when I got sober. I went to UCLA, got my certification as a drug and alcohol counselor. That's when I entered what I call the Dalai Lama period of my life. You know, I'll come touch the hem, I will strike the sober.
That's pretty amazing
Yeah.
to just leave
Yeah.
music like you
Yeah.
did.
But you know what? It
Were
came
you
in
sick
from-
of it?
I mean, look at Daft Punk. Look what happened this year. I mean, this is you know, when something that you don't want happens to you, or there's a major life change, like what I'd like to think Tracy and I would like to think is offered in this book. Just stick around. You know, start working on the little things in your life, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself. I mean, I'll be 74 tomorrow. I won Album of the Year this year. That's purely
pretty amazing.
That's purely a gift of my recovery. And the best thing I can do is pass that forward. You know?
Right.
And I had no idea how to do it until Tracy turned to me and said, I can show you how.
You got a phone thing going on. What's going on with him? You won't let go of that phone.
Okay.
What's the deal?
Okay, we used to
What's
be
the
friends,
deal?
Opie.
What's the deal?
We were
The deal,
doing really
Opie,
well here.
the deal is Paul Williams is a phoneaholic. He has replaced booze and cocaine. He
He
literally.
will not let go of that phone.
We were
Because
doing
he
a re-
wants to look at it. I understand.
We were
It's
on-
turned off.
We were on Oprah. We taped Oprah the other day. I had to take his phone away. You are not going on the set with Oprah with your telephone. Okay, that is like so dissing
we
Oprah.
did Super Soul Sunday.
and
she
he's
took
got
my
his
phone.
We were doing a reading the other night in Brooklyn. I looked down on the podium.
Yeah.
Like, the phone is there. I'm like, I can't have your phone. Grab. He is a phoneaholic.
What's up with the phone, Paul?
You can't put it. It gives you a dopamine rush like cocaine. I was reading an article
yes,
the other
it does,
day.
right?
It gives you and now
Yeah.
more people are addicted to these things. And if you think that in your phone every vice you want
Well, look who's
is right
on
there.
his phone right now. Excuse me.
He's probably tweeting.
Who's
He's on
sitting
the
there with his phone in his lap? You know.
But you're right. It is a dopamine rush.
It's a
Yeah.
dopamine
That's why
rush.
it's so dangerous when you're texting and driving.
Yeah, well, I
can't-
don't do. That
Yeah.
I don't do.
Do you know kids are learning to drive later now because they don't want to stop texting?
What do you mean?
The kids, like when I grew up in California, 16, I don't know where you guys grew up,
Yeah.
but like you
Yeah.
went and got your
16.
license, right? You
Yeah.
got your license. Kids now it's becoming 18. I have a 23-year-old, doesn't drive yet. Kids
Yeah.
don't want to drive because they have to stop texting.
Well, they also don't need to. They have the connection. We had to get in a car and go find
find
other
shit.
people.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Now
yeah.
you don't have to leave.
Yeah.
But everything you want that's bad for you that you can be addicted to, gambling, whatever, right?
Yeah, it's all
right
on your
here.
phone. I
It's
know.
right here.
And new
So
information's
addicting.
always coming in,
You're
so that's
right.
the high. It's like, oh, what am I going to see? Who
Is it
contacted
better?
me? Yeah.
You know, even like my 14-year-old, I just got 88 likes on my picture
Yeah.
of sushi. It's like, whoa, I guess you're popular. I mean, your day is made.
know.
And then she goes, you took the same sushi and you've only got 4 likes. You're not popular. I went,
Brutal.
I can handle it. I guess.
Brutal.
Back to therapy for me. Okay, Liz. Yeah.
Do you tell her what you've written in your life?
Yeah, but I don't get 88 likes for my sushi.
She doesn't
but
care?
but not in her world. In her world, how many likes you get on Instagram is
On
the
your
way
sushi.
you're popular. On your sushi.
But it is a dopamine thing. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it
No, it
was.
really
from
is.
doing it,
Absolute
but
Pleasure.
dopamine rush. You know,
There was a
and
big
it's-
article in the New York Times last week about it. And
Yeah.
it's literally, they're comparing it to cocaine, that you get this little charge, and every time you go in there and you go, who likes me? What's the message? It's you know, I got 9 texts. Is
It's
there
fan mail.
Can't
It's
stop
fan
it.
mail.
Right.
It's
Right.
just
It's fan mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a whole new thing that people need to get over, and that is why they're
Right.
going to have to read Gratitude and Trust 6 affirmations. It'll change their
But you
life.
know, we're not that hooked into at Gratitude Trust, or me at the letter I, the letter M, Paul Williams, or you at
Tracy
Jackson
Jackson
4.
4.
We're not really that wired into that I am Paul Williams and Gratitude Trust.
How did you find Daft Punk?
Oh, they found me.
They found you?
Yeah, they were fans of Phantom of the Paradise. You know, I've got a couple things in my life that are. One of the things you have to realize is that something that looks like a failure may pop up 40 years later and be a job. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So they asked me to write a couple songs on the album, and then they asked me to sing one. And the next thing I know, I'm standing next to.
It was
Pharrell,
amazing.
and
Such a good album.
It's you know
That
the
was
only
a
thing
great
that was
album.
different
So
about the whole
good.
process is finding a way to bring it into a conversation every time you meet somebody.
Yeah.
But you're really
Bet
good
you
at that.
deserve that one.
You have mastered that one like no one I've ever seen. What do you think of ISIS? You ever know Daft Punk just is really interesting.
yeah,
that was
they seem like a
incredible.
bunch of punks. Well, you know, speaking of which,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the one thing that impressed me most about them, I think immediately, was first of all, I loved the music they gave me to write some words for.
Yeah.
But I love the fact they choose to be anonymous, that their egos are that much
Yeah.
in check, that they care more about the work they're doing than they do about.
are they anonymous? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
they wear their
you know,
helmets
the
and
helmets, you know.
Which
They
look
don't
like
show
the
their
Phantom,
faces.
which look like the Phantom of the Paradise helmets.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
think they're the same family.
Paul, we
Yeah.
only have a
That's
few
so
minutes
great.
left. It's your birthday tomorrow. We quickly went and got you a little something.
Oh,
Is
nice.
that a Tiffany? Oh,
Magnolia cupcake.
Jesus,
You
no,
have
it's
to
just
pass it to him.
cupcakes.
You don't have to.
This is radio,
It's
Paul.
just-
What do you think? He's like,
It's just cupcakes. He goes, is it Tiffany's? I'm like, Jesus. Thought being a
Yeah.
nice guy.
It is. The box is Tiffany's.
It's a lousy red
Always
velvet
wanted
cupcake.
one.
Enjoy.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And I get one too.
not
nice.
diamond.
Always wanted one of these watches.
Is it a Rolex? No, it's a Dodgers hat.
Well, I hope it looks
He
a
wants
little big
another
on
Ferrari.
My, looks a little big on my wrist, but you know, look at that.
It's just a stupid cupcake.
Yeah,
Oh,
I hope you like
happy
sprinkles.
birthday.
It's
Enjoy
a
your
cupcake in
sprinkles.
the shape of a. Oh, I can't say that
If
on
my
the
daughter
air.
Instagrammed this, she would get 4,000 likes.
She's so popular.
You're a good friend. You guys have been just great to us.
What are you
and-
doing for your birthday tomorrow?
Yeah.
Anything fun?
What are we doing?
We're
What?
taking you to dinner. Your New York family's taking you to dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We don't have a Tiffany gift for him, and
You know what?
But-
My wife just got back from Hawaii. She flew back to Hawaii. She was in Kauai and flew back last night. So I will talk to my wife in the morning. We'll see her Sunday. Then we're heading out on the road
we
for
hit
like
the road
5 weeks
To promote the book. A lot of book signings and stuff.
a lot.
Yeah.
all
that's
over.
great.
So they're
They're lining up to see.
You can
this
come
at
out
some
and
point.
see him live.
right.
Yeah.
You guys doing
Yeah.
signings at all?
Yeah,
We've got one
everywhere.
tonight.
We have one tonight at Barnes & Noble at 86 on the Upper West Side
Oh, okay.
at 7
Yeah,
o'clock.
Exactly.
Cool.
One of the last Barnes and Nobles.
That's a good one. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
On Broadway, I think.
It's a
Yeah.
nice store. I've been
Yeah,
in
it's a
there a
good
few
store.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So life is good.
How was
Life-
Oprah?
Oprah was talk to them about Oprah.
Were you intimidated to be in front of Oprah?
She makes it so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, like the 24
we
hours
don't?
before. You guys are awesome.
All
You guys
right,
are amazing. This is one of the most fun interviews we've had. No, without question. How I'm nowhere else. Like I couldn't go on Oprah and talk about Hunter Thompson and his porn. No,
She'd
but
probably love that.
Yeah, I think Oprah would secretly love that.
You know what? She was really cool.
she was
and
so
all.
kind. She was so sweet. She
you
really
meet-
did.
Did you meet Eric Logan? He's our old boss.
We did not meet Eric Logan.
Yeah,
He's pretty much running Oprah.
yeah. He runs around. He's a
runs
odd
it.
little man with a haircut like a Roman.
Yeah.
We didn't-
He's very
And
inconsequential.
shows too many teeth when he smiles now.
Yeah, he's a creep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Eric Logan.
Zaslav, who is head of Discovery and started OWN with Oprah, I think, is the one who sent the book to Oprah, and she read it, and her response was storybook. I mean, she'd hold it up and say, "This is a bestseller," and
Wow.
the perfect gift and all, and it can change lives. It just, it was, you couldn't have written it any better. But this is the great thing about working 2 years. To me, a woman at her best you can describe as a great broad. Tracy's a great broad. I mean,
thought you were
it's
going to
like
say Oprah was a great broad.
no. Tracy is a great broad. Oprah made you. I wanted to crawl into her lap and have a good cry. I mean, she just
Because she just sold you hundreds of thousands
I
of
know.
books.
Oh my
That's
God.
why.
Well, but she's also got that
might-
mommy thing. I mean, I just she's
He's
just
going to crawl into your lap after this too.
Later
Just
on.
be
Well,
prepared.
I've done that, and
No,
it's just
look-
not the same.
Look, I mean, you're nice saying this was the most fun interview,
It's
but
fun.
Oprah sold you probably 200,000 books easily. We might have sold you 12, Paul, today. Okay,
But
Let's be
you
honest.
gave us cupcakes.
But this is family.
Opie, you gave us
honest.
cupcakes.
Opie, this is family. We started out arguing 208 years ago, and now I know this is a safe place.
I love Paul Williams, for real. Gratitude and trust, 6 affirmations that will change your life. Paul Williams and Tracy Jackson.
Odd question. Do you remember the first question she asked you?
Oprah?
Yeah. What was it a boring question or was it like a?
No.
I mean, or was
No,
it like a
nothing.
real?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
sometimes I heard her say one time they asked her, "What would you do if you interviewed?" And I forget who it was at the time that was in a scandal, and she said the first question would be really hard or to the point. And I'm like, I think her first question is usually
The tough
But then
one?
maybe that's
But
only
you know
was
what?
a scandal.
This is a very different show. This is her show, Super Soul Sunday, which is she's not doing her. As you guys know, she's not doing her other show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She gave that up. And this show is really all about spirituality and improving the world and making people feel good. And there was nothing, and she had all sorts of information that she could have asked, and she never went for the jugular. She never. She asked penetrating questions about the book, and I think she started out asking. She said she was really friendly. She said, "You know what? We've just been singing. We've only just begun." That was the first thing she
That's
said,
sweet,
and she was
wasn't it?
talking about "We've only just begun" and Paul's music, but she never did anything that was remotely aggressive or trying to get to anything or unearth anything. She just really wants, this show's about making people feel good, and she really makes you feel good from the second she walks in. You just can't quite believe it.
Actually, the first question was asked when
We
were
drank the Oprah Kool-Aid. I mean, whatever it is, we
In the
did.
green room, she asked us how to write on an iPad our the most one word that it was our favorite word, and you wrote.
Truth.
And I wrote kindness, and and so that was the first question. What's a word that is your like a favorite word?
I know.
Glad
You guys
Anthony
are
wasn't here.
I got one.
Can you say it on the air?
Yeah.
Boring. Oh, it's so good to be back.
I got one.
I saw Jimmy's eyes light up. I was like, oh no, what's coming out?
You didn't give her your phone number on that piece of paper? No.
I've watched Super Soul Sunday, for real. The Russell Simmons one. She does a very good job of
She
that.
does a really good job.
Uncle
like
Rush. I love Uncle Rush.
He
You
comes
follow-
in here and he kills it for us.
Do you follow his tweets?
Yes, I do.
I do too. They're great tweets.
She asked him what he ate for breakfast. I mean, she does. She asks you that kind of stuff, like, "What's your favorite thing? How do you like your coffee?" It's not hard. I mean, but it's
Sweet.
It was great. It was sweet.
All right,
It was nice.
I think we got to get you out
They
of
have
here.
to wrap
Yeah,
up.
well,
We have to go eat our cupcakes now and get a sugar high.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So tonight you
enjoy.
can see them at the Barnes & Noble on 86th Street. What time is that, 7 or 6?
7 o'clock, 86th and Broadway. Paul Williams. He will talk about Daft Punk, maybe.
Yeah,
Gratitude and trust. I really want to read this, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. It actually looks really good.
I think I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
I could use a little something.
little heavy,
I'm
you know.
going to read it. I'm going to read a couple
We
chapters.
can all improve.
I'm going to
just a
get past the
little
fact that you have to read 20 pages before you get to page 1.
He doesn't like the prologue.
That's
We
my
did have,
OCD.
we can say it on this show. We did have a chapter called Dealing with Dicks.
Yeah, which we changed
which
to
we
navigating
changed
the
to
nasties.
navigating the nasties.
Yeah, but dealing with dicks is a great chapter.
That could be misinterpreted as a positive how-to book.
Yeah, well, that's
That too. That's in the second book.
You got to get through an introduction, then you got to get through Tracy's path, then you get to Paul's path, and then finally page one.
Opie, you read Tracy's path and Paulie's path, and you find out all those horrible
But why
secrets
couldn't
you
you
wanted us
start
to
it
talk
with
about.
page one with all that?
Because I didn't
well, it
design
is kind
that.
of page one. It's just the way it's broken down.
Yeah, exactly.
But then
Yeah.
you read 20 pages and realize you haven't even started the book yet.
Well, you
Opie had
have
a hard
started
time
the
in
book.
Not a
school.
homework assignment, Opie.
Exactly.
had a long,
That's his.
hard road.
That's Opie's OCD with numbers. Though. He's got like
Really?
OCD too. That's a numbers thing.
I'm not
yeah.
even joking.
We could, if you would like, I have a lot of time and I'm good with this. After this, I will renumber your book
Oh,
for you. If you would, okay, I'll sit down with a Sharpie and we'll go 1 through 290. Okay.
It'll just feel right if you do
Okay,
that.
I'll do that for you.
Do you know what my favorite
And
word?
she means it.
I know.
My favorite word is Sam.
Sam.
This is my friend.
Hi, Sam.
See you guys.
Good seeing you guys.
Absolutely. Tom Papa,
See you
everyone.
soon.
The Opie and Anthony Podcast.
Who's the fucking murderer or the chick?
Well, that was Melanie Griffith.
It's amazing how much older she is than you realize.
Melanie Griffith?
Yeah, I just
She's
saw.
been around forever.
Dennis Franz was in it.
Oh yeah, he was in a movie
He
called
was
Dressed to
great.
Kill as well. Who's this guy Ted from out of town you were fucking? First time I ever saw him was when he was drilling Nancy Allen. She's like, Ted from out of town. Oh yeah, Ted from
What a great accent.
that fucking movie, Dressed to Kill. Do you remember that? With
Sure I
Angie
do.
Dickinson
Yeah,
and
of
Michael
course.
Caine.
She was sexy in that.
Nancy Allen was so sexy as she's trying to seduce Michael Caine, the psychiatrist, for information, and she doesn't know that he's actually the cross-dressing murderer. She's on his desk, and she says something about, and I jerked off to this line probably 70 times in my youth. She's laying there in like thigh highs and sexy lingerie, and she said something about that bulge in the front of your pants. And to hear a girl say that, I went bananas. And then I knew that was an edited version, and in the real version, she said something like, that cock. She said something so fucking vulgar.
That is not my cock.
That fueled my masturbation fantasies.
Can we find that line?
See if you like Nancy Allen.
Try to find that line.
Nancy Allen
You
Dressed to
don't
Kill,
understand.
sexy. I'm telling you, you'll find it. It's on YouTube somewhere.
You're sitting there and you're looking at my cock.
Oh yeah, Jessica just did Michael Caine.
Yeah, it's,
As we find that clip, Dr. Steve wrote me. He texted me. Thank you. It's a spotting scope. That's exactly what I
a
got.
spotting scope.
They call them spotting
It's
scopes.
like a mini telescope.
I mean, the telescope's on its period.
They're made for bird watching and looking in windows in New York City. That's it. Nothing
You're
else.
looking at my cock.
Yeah,
I
the-
am in your apartment. What is it you want to say?
You just read about.
Do you like doing these things?
You have to fast forward a little, Sam.
Sometimes.
No, let it
Do you
go.
like that?
She's wearing
It's raining out.
an overcoat.
I must do a pretty good job because they pay me a lot.
Oh,
Do
she's
you
an
ever have any
escort.
sex that's not paid for?
Is that a proposal?
No. It's what we psychiatrists call a question.
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, I do. For men that turn me on.
What sort of men turn you on?
Oh, my dick would be out by this
Mature,
point,
doctorly
cranking,
type,
ready to go.
like you.
I am ready.
Because she's wearing a fucking full trench coat right now.
And it's
Are you
raining
sexually
out.
attracted to me?
Yes. Are you?
Attracted to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's looking at himself in the mirror.
Then this isn't a social visit, is it? You come here for help, and my job is to offer you emotional assistance.
How about some sexual assistance?
Oh.
Do you want to fuck me?
Oh, yes.
Well, why don't you?
Because I'm a doctor
Fucked a lot of doctors.
and I'm married.
Fucked a lot of them, too.
Don't you think we're getting off the point?
Oh, I'd be tugging my dick like a fucking
Do you mind
chimp
if I
by
take
this
off my
point.
coat?
No.
'Cause I know the coat's coming off and I know what she has under it.
Yep, there she goes. Oh, man.
Her fucking juicy ass, and she's wearing thigh highs and full panties.
Lots of straps.
And the
Yeah.
rest, too?
Now, why would you want to do a thing like that?
Well,
See-
because of the size of that cock in your pants. I don't think you're so married.
That's what would make me fucking blow my load all over the place.
And the rain is you blowing.
But she would say bulge in the original thing of that.
Right.
I had never seen that, but when the fact that a girl in that outfit, and then right after that, by the way, she was like sitting on the desk, all sexy, laying on her side, and fucking I would ruin my dick
It's the
watching
greatest
that.
movie in the world. And how funny that the last clip is a guy outside with binoculars spying on him.
Looking through the window. Who's spying on them?
I forget his name. He was Angie Dickinson was his mother in the film, and she was killed in a razor slashing. Is this a Brian De Palma movie,
What
Dressed
movie?
to Kill? It had that like almost a Hitchcock feel.
So is the other movie.
What was the other one?
The one that you're talking about
Oh,
before
was that
with the-
also? Okay, I didn't realize it
That
was
was
Brian
De
De
Palma,
Palma.
too?
You like Brian De Palma?
Yeah.
He did some good stuff.
Yeah, he did.
But the Dress to Kill was a very, very creepy,
That's a good one.
scary. You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, did I jerk off
Michael
to that a
Caine.
lot. It opened up with a really sexy shower scene. I think on HBO when I was a kid, or Showtime, or the movie channel.
That was one of those dirty movies when you were younger that you could get away with watching.
Just enough.
Just enough, right? I kind of like those just enough movies.
Yeah, judging by that
why would
cock
you
in your
want to do
pants.
that?
I didn't even know that she said cock at that point. I really just thought it was bulge. I guess the rating system back then was R, and it would have made it a harder R.
Right.
But just a girl
Real
talking about
hard
a guy's
R.
bulge was so fucking dirty.
Now, why would you want to do that?
Michael Caine is.
He's the best.
Although he plays Michael Caine in every movie, he's one of those actors.
I'm Michael Caine.
Right.
I'm. That's a pretty good one, right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
For yeah.
Let's see. Gotta do it again.
I am Michael Caine. Why am I in here?
You lost me.
Why are you here in this studio trying to get me to act that way? I am Michael Caine.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That was pretty
It's not
good.
bad.
Not bad. You got to keep saying I'm Michael Caine. Just keep us,
I gotta keep reminding
so
you.
the
who it
audience
is.
knows who it is.
keep
Yeah.
us on track.
It's what we psychiatrists call a question. That's when you let your dick go because you know that he's going to talk.
Right.
But she's, come on, if I take this off, crank, 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 crank.
Let go.
Now, why would you want to do that?
I'm Michael Caine.
I am Michael Caine.
You time out your loads. You have to time them out when you couldn't stop the fucking action, man. You couldn't stop it and rewind. God forbid somebody talked from the next room. If I'm cranking it and it was late, the worst was when you'd be there and you're fucking jacking it and you're ready to spew. And I would hear the telltale sign of the door open, meaning one of my parents had to go to the bathroom. And they were walking, so I would always have to like tuck my dick away or, it was the worst. And then I would listen for the bathroom door closing so then I could keep cranking again. Listen for that opening, the toilet flush, everything was sound.
Right, yeah.
Timing it out is a talent. You know?
Jimmy, put that away. Why are you up so late? Cranking it in your room.
Well, mother. No, it wasn't.
No, that was Michael Caine.
No, I was in the living room. I wasn't in my room.
Michael
Oh, you were in your living room.
I had a black and white TV with no cable.
Oh, I'm picturing you in your bedroom, your little baby bedroom.
No, I'm in the living room, and,
Oh.
and he went down the hall, and it was my bedroom was at the very end of the hall, and then like on the left was my parents. So when that door opened, I knew that they were either going to go to the bathroom, which was right next to their room, so they wouldn't come near the living room. So you'd have to hear for the door when you heard the sound of footsteps. Your fucking cock had to go away.
Did you change the channel at that point?
Yeah, it depends on where I was in the movie. Like a lot of times, I would get like, again, you'd start jerking probably a few minutes before because you'd want to shoot when the moment happened. Because again, there was no freeze frame.
And no freeze frame. You couldn't, right? You just.
I remember being a teenager, all worked up, and cable hit. And I remember taking out the TV guide and going, oh, I see what's going on. And these movies would be on late, 1 a.m. or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
So then you go, I'm going to bed. 9, 10 o'clock, whatever it would be at the time. And then I remember just fucking getting all worked up as I heard one by one everyone else going to bed. And then I knew, like, right around 1 o'clock, I would sneak down. And I remember the whole thing of turning on the TV, hoping no one heard the TV going on, and the big clunky buttons of the first fucking cable remote, and getting,
Conk.
Yeah, you cough.
but getting away with this, like all of a sudden, like, okay, it's my time now.
Like a perverted rat.
It's my time.
Scurrying around the house.
But I remember getting worked up knowing, okay, I saw the TV guide. I forgot the movies back then that
Yeah.
really would get get you going. But it's just like you said, these just enough type movies.
Oh,
Tales of a
just
Window
enough.
Washer, like that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Emmanuel series, those type of like kind of sexy hard R movies.
But then getting bummed out, like my dad would stay up too late or something, and then I would hear snoring. So now I'm like, fuck.
Coming down for water.
No, none of that. I mean, if he went upstairs, that was it. It was the whole thing waiting for everyone. I mean, I'm talking 7 kids in a house, and everyone
That's
was on
almost
different
impossible.
schedules. But then, some nights, I would hear the TV go off. He'd walk up the stairs, the creak of the staircase. I'm like, all right, now it's going to be
go time.
It's go time in about 20 more minutes. I just got to wait 20 more minutes.
Do you think the rest of the family was doing the same thing? All these other kids?
That's a really good question.
every 15 minutes, somebody was arcing a fucking load on the doily.
I got to ask my brothers
There had
that.
to
That's
be,
a
right?
great question because I definitely did it. I remember
to.
turning the TV even because, it would shine upstairs a little bit and that might be a giveaway. All this. It was a whole ritual
like a spy,
thing.
like a CIA
Right.
top secret. But if you got to figure with all those other siblings,
Someone else.
a lot of times when you were just going to bed, people were like, thank God he finally went to bed.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I got to ask my brothers.
You always
And
knew
I,
you were in for a
I
good
never
movie.
caught him in the middle of the night like, hey, what the fuck you doing up?
You always knew you were in for a good one when you're watching the movie, and then you see like 2 lesbians on a fucking moped in Vietnam. You're like, good. Someone's pussy is getting eaten very shortly. You would look for those little weird lead-up scenes where you knew
You're right.
something was about to happen.
Some innocent girl just minding her business.
Oh man, but when you don't time it right, that's the worst.
That's
It's
the
the worst.
That's a talent. I think a lot of us end up, losing our load in the middle of trying to find something better. Fucking idiot,
But it also
idiot
makes you
guys
so,
we are.
It also makes you so specific though that you can't. It's almost unhealthy. Like it's because you get so specific and everything is so timed out. It has to be
Right.
You get too fucking bent on a certain pattern. It's not healthy.
Why isn't it healthy?
Yeah, because then you can only come to a certain type of thing, and it's like instead of
Right.
just.
Let's say hi to Pat in East Andover. Pat.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, just back in the day when you had
What's
the TV, squiggly lines on the TV, channel 98, 99 or something like that, that came in color, sometimes black and white. You could sometimes make out a tit here or there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the dirty channels, like if they were you didn't get them, you had to kind of do that knob on the side, and you can kind of get it.
Or you get it for just a few seconds. You had to push
Yeah.
that knob halfway down or something and hold it just right, and all of a sudden it would pop on for not even a couple seconds, maybe a second.
I think I saw a nipple.
You would see distorted boobs and stuff, but as a kid that was good enough.
It was
Because
just
we didn't
enough.
have the internet. We didn't have the internet. We had to do this.
I know.
Poor guys. Right now we're talking. And go. Remember, I had to call the rest area, and that fucking big-headed open micer fucking picked up the thing and gave me nothing.
What are you doing down there? I don't know. It's a rest area.
Now there's Grinder, but back then there was fucking just dial and hope the guy wanted his dick sucked.
Yeah. You ever
One of the greatest moments as a teenager was when John Ewing came over because he could hotwire the cable box. And so we started watching porn, and my parents at the time thought we were just upstairs watching the Knicks or something.
Yeah.
And that was a whole ritual thing too. Like, okay, I'm going to hotwire your box. He would open it up, and it was just this little thing that got everything. But then he had to put it back before he went home because we would get fucking caught.
Oh, really?
So that became a thing for a while.
Man, that guy must have been popular.
Yeah, well, John Ewing was a guy that just fucking was way older than all of us all the time. He was the guy that first guy to start shaving. He was 6'4". He was driving. I don't even know if it was possible, but he was driving at 15 because he looked like he was 20. First guy to have a car in high school.
good.
That type of kid
Yeah.
that we all have one of those guys
Just
in
a
our lives.
warrior.
He was a warrior, but
Yeah.
and he always knew shit that none of us knew yet. Because we would go to school talking about the squiggly lines and how you could kind of see porn, and he's like, "Pfft,
He's in the back with a toothpick.
yeah, that's child's play.
I got you covered.
I'll hotwire your cable box. What?
What
Really?
would you have to do? Move the wires or just flip a switch inside the
Unfortunately,
box?
These stories are so old, I don't remember. I remember he would take the cover off, and he would have to get in there a little bit. And
Yeah.
I feel like he was just moving a couple wires around, and that was all it was back then.
Probably just taking one wire and then attach it, like almost like a no or yes or something.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
That's all it was. We've gotten a lot more complicated with our cable systems, but back then, I remember it was an easy fix, but no one was doing it.
It's so funny to picture you guys all like little kids around him. Like,
Yeah.
is he doing it? Is he doing it?
We were like 15,
It's on. It's
16-ish,
on.
I would say. Yeah, somewhere around there.
And then you get guys though who are allowed to do that. Like I talk about Bill D'Angelo a lot, my buddy, whose parents were really cool and open, and they weren't like, I guess they had other older sons too. So by the time Bill was born, they were just over it. And he had WHT, and he was allowed to watch it. His parents didn't get, whatever.
Yeah,
they probably would have said like, "You guys go to bed. I'm going to jerk off now." All right, son, just don't get it all over the parlor. Like they were just cool. They didn't care.
Yeah, I had a friend like that too. They just got everything, just free reign. The parents were like just upstairs getting high and just leaving us downstairs, and that was such a different home than my home. My home, like it was yours,
pretty strict.
Oh yeah, I mean, every movement was just. It was silence. I mean, just silence from the time they went to bed, and you had to completely, just to walk around and just get snacks, you had to be like a spy.
Right.
Slowly opening the bag of chips.
All right, well, that sucked. Thanks for listening to the Opie and Anthony podcast. Also, interact with the Opie and Anthony show on Twitter, @Opie Radio, @Anthony Cumia,